Hey guys, Tarian here. Today I'm going to be going over the Commando profession and SWG restoration. I'm going to cover some basic stuff and help you guys have a simple understanding of how this profession works, some of its abilities, and some of the mechanics behind it. So let's get started. I'll go over some of the abilities. So first we have Dead Bank Shot. It's a wide AoE. Shoots a wide distance in front of you. I don't use it because in PvP because it has a long wind-up time that I don't like. But I do use this in PvE for clearing layers, spinning, that sort of thing. It's pretty good for that, for like farming and whatnot. But I don't ever really use it for PvP. So let me heal my ult real quick. Okay. Next we have Focus Fire. Don't ever use this ability. It's just a worse version of Dead Bank Shot. I don't ever recommend using this ability at all. Next you have Demolition Shot. This also has a wind up, but it has some more niche uses in PvP. This ability does more damage to things such as droids, vehicles, or structures. It also has an increased damage modifier against pets, so creature handlers. Again, very niche, used for PvP and like the Droid Factory, or PvE and like Droid Factory, that sort of thing. For GCW, city invasions, destroying the turrets, the AT-ATs, ATXTs, that sort of thing. Much better for that. If people have droids out, other players in PvP, it could be useful. It does a lot of damage against, battle droids and that sort of thing. Also does a lot of damage against pets if you're fighting a creature handler. And you can land this ability. It's pretty good. I used to know a Commando back in the day that would use this a lot against creatures, and it helped him in his experience. So next, Overkill Shot. Has a long wind-up time but a high damage modifier. So think of it like Sniper Shot but on steroids. As you see there, did a whole lot of damage to my squad leader. I'll have her heal up. Has a very long cooldown, but it does a lot of damage. If you're able to land this thing, it will do a whole bunch of damage. But it's very hard to set up. But if you're able to, again, not bad. It's not bad. It's worth using. Next, you have Brittle Armor. This is essentially the armor break ability that Swordsman has. It reduces their armor significantly. It stacks up to 5 times, but any application of this ability, or addition to the stack after the first use, will DR pretty hard. In my testing, it was like I think like 75% weaker each time. So it's the first stack is really the most important one in my experience. Otherwise, it's probably better to save your GCDs for other abilities. But definitely try to have this thing up at all times in both PvE and PvP. Next, talk about Burn Down and It Burns. These are both your main damage abilities. They have no cooldown, no wind up, very fast GCD. They apply a dot to the target, as you see here. Commando Fire. This stacks up to 10 times. Each stack increases the amount of dot damage they take. There are 2 versions. It Burns is a single target one, as you see here. And then Burn It Down looks like this. It's an AoE version. It's a very wide cone in front of you. It does a lot of damage in group settings and in AoE, and it's really good for AoE groups. Next, the defensive ability that comes with Commando is Stand Fast. This is what it looks like. The animation. You'll see it if you see Commando do that. That means he popped it. It lasts for 10 seconds. It's 60% damage reduction. Very, very good if you're trying to mitigate damage incoming, or if you're trying to get away or whatever from damage. It's very good. It has a 1 minute cooldown, so use it smartly. It has a good, 1 minute's a reasonable time, but definitely don't throw this ability out there willy-nilly. Next, it's not really a Commando ability, but you will always have this ability if you are a Commando, because to become a Commando, it requires Brawler, Unarmed 4, and Marksman, Range Support 4. So it's a hybrid profession. You will always have this ability here, Center of Being. What it does is a wind up. It provides a buff, 100 or 250 points of increased defense. This is a lot. For those of you that watch my squad leader guide, you'll know that defense is avoidance rather than damage mitigation. So if you have this buff up, it's going to be much harder for people to try and hit you with your shots. Downside of this ability, you have to apply it with a melee weapon in your hand, so you're going to be doing a lot of weapon swapping between your heavy weapon and your ranged weapon so that you can put COB back up. But try to get in the habit of keeping this thing up as much as possible. It lasts for 30 seconds, and the cooldown is about the same time as the duration of the buff, so just keep that in mind. Next, we're going to talk about grenades. There's 4 grenades that you want to use. Glob grenades, cryo grenades, thermal detonators, and proton grenades. They all apply different things, and they're all worth using in my experience. First, we'll talk about glob grenades. I'll throw the glob grenade at Darjeeling here. Doesn't do a lot of damage, only hit for 317 points of damage, but it applied a blind. What blind does is it reduces the accuracy of the target by a lot. This is always worth using in my opinion if you want to try and mitigate damage. This combined with center being, having the 100 or 250 defense plus the minus 120 accuracy on your opponent, this is going to be very difficult for them to hit you. They're going to be missing their shots consistently. So using a glob grenade is not bad. If you notice that they're doing blind recovery consistently when you apply blind, stop throwing these grenades. It's just a waste. Next, cryo grenade. Does similar damage to the glob grenade, but it applies a slow. The slow is one of the best in the game. Cover your ears when you throw this grenade because it hurts a lot. Lasts for a very long time. I believe 35 seconds. Look how slow my squad leader moves when I have this debuff. It's insane. She's basically, I think this is slower than RP walking. So, if you're able to, if you want to try and create space between you and your opponent, or you want to slow a whole group of people, this is a really good grenade to throw in there. It's one of the best slows in the game. And all these grenades are AoE, by the way, so if they're clumped up in PvP, or if mobs are clumped up in PvE, you can just throw these grenades out and do a lot of extra damage. So now let's talk about thermal detonators. Thermal detonators are one of the 2 high damage grenades, them and proton grenades. This is what the damage of a thermal detonator looks like here. Pretty good damage. It also applies a burn. This burn takes for a lot of damage and lasts for a long time. It stacks with the burn from your flamethrower and other, like if you're a combat medic, it stacks with that burn as well. So it's really strong. The damage over time hits for a good bit, as you see here in my combat log, 220 points of damage. And the direct damage, the burst, is pretty good as well. Next, I'll talk about the proton grenade. I'll throw it here. This also does a good chunk of damage, I think slightly more than the thermal detonator, but it applies a bleed. Similar to the thermal detonator. The difference between these grenades is that the thermal detonator, the dot, the burn hits for more, but the direct damage is slightly less. Whereas the proton grenade, the dot, the bleed, hits for about half of what the burn from the thermal detonator hits for, but the direct damage makes up the difference. So they're both worth using. If you want to try and burst somebody down, you can, for example, throw both of these. I'll try to throw both here. You can see the kind of burst damage it does. Well, she healed right as I threw the first one, but yep, you see what I mean. Like, you can line up a lot of damage with these things. It's really good. So those are all the grenades. Oh, one quick thing to note: if you use an ability right as the same, because there's a delay from when the grenade goes out and is put on cooldown from when you actually press the grenade. If you use an ability, I'll pull out this right here, my flamethrower. I'll throw the grenade and I'll instantly mash this button right here for it burns. Okay, it didn't do it there for some reason, but there's usually a bug where if you are throwing a grenade and you use an ability right after you throw the grenade, essentially it puts the ability on a much longer cooldown and it syncs the cooldown of that ability with the cooldown of the grenade, which is really annoying. So if you throw a grenade, be careful mashing an ability directly after it. You don't want to accidentally get this bug to proc. Next, I'll talk about all the heavy weapons. There are 6 heavy weapons I'm going to be talking about. The first one is this one right here, the acid launcher. What does the acid launcher do? It launches acid. It also has a chance on hit to apply a blind. Let's see if I can get it to proc here. You see here, minus 120 defense, or I'm sorry, accuracy. This, again, like the glob grenade paired with center being, is going to make you extremely difficult to hit. You're going to be dodging everything like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. Next, we have the lightning beam cannon. This one shoots lightning. It looks really cool. That's what it looks like when you shoot it. This one has a chance to apply a burn similar to the thermal detonator. See if I can get it to land, or get the burn to land. If not, that's alright. Okay, all good. I'll let her get some healing back. Or some mine, sorry. This one also, oh yeah, there we go. We see it, the burn right here, on fire. That stacks with the thermal detonator, and I believe it stacks with the flamethrower as well, so that's really nice. One thing that to also note about the lightning beam cannon is that if you shoot somebody's vehicle with it, it has a chance on hit to slow their vehicle. We tested this. Somebody shot my walker today, my ATRT, with this gun a couple times, and after a while my ATRT got slowed, and it was basically moving at RP walk speed. So if someone's running away from you trying to kite you with a vehicle, shoot their vehicle with this, and you should be able to catch up to them pretty easily. Next, we have the particle beam cannon. This is what it looks like when you shoot it. Looks pretty cool. Unfortunately, in my testing, this weapon has no special effect at all to it, really, and in most situations it's not really worth using over any of these other ones. It also does energy weapon or energy damage, so it's not that good in PvP, so I really advise against using this weapon. Next, we have the launcher pistol. It's just a rocket launcher pistol. It has the same range as a pistol, so it's not that great. This is what you use to level up Commando with, really. It's not ever really worth using at max level. I don't really recommend it. Lastly, we have the flamethrower, or I'm sorry, not the flamethrower, the rocket launcher. This is the last of the major heavy weapons. This is what it looks like. It does kinetic damage. It's supposed to have a chance on hit to knock someone down when you shoot them, but unfortunately that is not working right now in the game. Hopefully it gets fixed. As of right now in 1.1 or 1.0 October 9th 2022, this does not work, but in a future version of this game this may work. So if you're watching in the future, hopefully it works. Something to note about this gun and all the other heavy weapons that I've listed before, except for the launcher pistol. So the acid launcher, or the acid thrower, the lightning beam cannon, and the particle beam cannon, as well as the rocket launcher, they all have a 65-meter range. So this is the same range as a rifle. So you're going to be able to fight riflemen at a distance with these things if they try to, get super far from you. So that's the rocket launcher. One thing to note about all heavy weapons in general is that none of them can accept weapon power-ups. So usually you can put power-ups in your weapon. As you see here on my carbine, I have the power-up. It increases my damage by a lot. No heavy weapons can accept power-ups except for one. It is a looted item from a boss on Kashyyyk, a spider boss called the Void. It's a variation of the rocket launcher. This is it right here. This is mine. It can accept weapon power-ups. That makes this the most viable commando weapon for PvP. I recommend getting it. I'll put a link in the description to the wiki page describing how to get the Void if you guys want to get it. Like I said, I always recommend grabbing one of these. So next we have the flamethrower. This is probably my favorite heavy weapon. It's very different from all the other ones. It has the shortest range, 30 meters, but it is the fastest. It is significantly faster than all the rest. It applies a burn similar to the lightning beam cannon, and the special action cost on this thing is much lower than all the other heavy weapons. This is what the rocket launcher looks like when I'm spamming this ability burn down. This is how fast it is. If I can shoot her. My target for what the heck? Am I dueling her? Okay, there we go. So you see how fast I'm shooting this thing? Okay. Now this is what it looks like with the flamethrower. So you can definitely tell a difference there between the flamethrower and all the other weapons. So flamethrower is really good for many reasons. It's more of a utility weapon. You don't really use it for the damage. You use it for the pressure and the utility. And what that means is one of the things that the flamethrower has that none of the other heavy weapons have is that it makes all abilities used while using the flamethrower an AoE. So if I use Riddle Armor on Dark Shielding here, that is an AoE version of that. So if there's other people around her, they will get hit by the Riddle Armor as well. If I use my knockdown that I have from playing Carbineer, all the other people around her will get knocked down as well. Let's get her back up. If I have a slow and I use it with a flamethrower, all the other people around her will get slowed if they get hit by it. So it's a really nice utility weapon. It also, on all hits, has a chance to apply a burn, like I said, similar to the lightning beam cannon and the thermal detonator. I'm trying to get the proc here. It's not working. Oh well. They all stack, which is really good. You can do a lot of damage over time with that thing. Be careful though, because of how fast this thing is, you can eat through your action very, very quickly. So lastly, I will talk about some of the templates you can use with Commando and what's good and why they're good. I play Carbineer Commando. It's kind of tricky. You have to do a lot of weapon swapping. Master Carbineer, Master Commando with the healing line of Combat Medic. Most of these builds will all have the healing line of Combat Medic in them for the extra self-healing. The advantage of this build, lots of AoE. Let me show my main bars here. Lots of AoE from my Carbine and from my Flamethrower. In my rocket launcher if I need to use it. Lots of slows, suppressive fire, cripple shot, cryo grenades. It's really nice. It also has access to battle armor, which is one of the which is probably the best type of armor right now. So it's really nice for that. Next we have, where is it? Pistolier Smuggler or Pistolier Commando. This build is really good for control. It has stopping shot, advanced stopping shot, which is a 25-second route. It has quick draw, which is a really fast GCD ability for damage. This goes really well if you're using heavy weapons because they're really slow, so it can help your DPS with heavy weapons. It also has burst shot, where is it? Warning shot, intimidate shot. Lots of debuffs that reduce the opponent's armor, so it makes you easier to hit them. And if you're pairing this with as we were saying, center of being and glob grenades for the decreasing their accuracy, they're going to be missing you a bunch, and you're going to be hitting them a bunch with this build. With remember, it's Master Commando, Master Pistolier. That's the one I'm talking about. It has some AoEs, extra AoEs with fan shot. It has a silence through disarm, 12-second silence that breaks on damage, which is really nice. All around, it's pretty good. Next, I will talk about Combat Medic, Master Combat Medic, Master Commando. The most popular thing to pair with that is the, where is it? Terras Kasi, the balance tree right here, 0400. So this one right here. The reason you get it is for Hone Center Being. It doubles the amount of defense you get from your regular Center Being, which is really, really good. Most Commando Combat Medics will go for that. That build also has access to battle armor. So it's extremely tanky, has extra healing efficiency for being Master, and it also has all the damage over time effects and debuffs that come with Combat Medic. And this pairs really well with all the damage over time effects and debuffs of Commando. So that build is all about dots, debuffs, and being tanky. It's very, very strong. The last one I'll talk about is Commando, Master Smuggler. This is a popular build. As of a few months ago, I'm not too sure if too many people are playing it. I know a couple people that were trying to make Commando work and make Smuggler work would play this. I don't see it too much anymore, but it's probably worth noting. It has some decent burst damage through Concussion Shot and Overkill Shot. Things like Panic Shot and Last Ditch are really nice as well. Feign Death if you like to meme, but I don't see it work too much anymore, and I don't see too many people play it because your dots will break Concussion Shot. So unless you can work around that, and if you're a god and just are able to plan around that, then it'd be good. Otherwise, probably not so much. So, well, that's all I really have to say about Commando, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time, and y'all have a good one.